So you want to be rich. You want to make $1 million. Well, how about 1 billion? Or how about $4 billion overnight? Take a look at this. I know you guys have asked me to do some videos talking more about Wall Street and trading and things like that. So I think you'll find this particularly interesting once we get the little matrix effect out of there. Let's make this smaller. So this week, you are about to witness the creation of some new, and I'm going to tell you what's happening. Basically this week, Snapchat is going to be having their IPO. And as a result of this IPO, the estimates say that we're looking at potentially the co-founders of Snapchat becoming billionaires just like that. So you want to know how to become a billionaire, not just become a billionaire, but overnight? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. Now, first of all, let me explain to you what an IPO is so you can understand what's happening. So IPO stands for Initial Public Offering. Basically, it's a way for a private company to raise capital or money. It's a very effective way of raising capital. So some of you out there may have some ideas about you want to start some business, and there's different ways of getting money, and some of them more difficult than others. But one of the avenues that is available is the IPO. Now, the way the IPO works is essentially, if you're familiar with the stock market and how that works, you are basically with the stock market, so you're buying shares in a company. So you're buying essentially partial ownership of a company, in essence, which is why you get sent in the mail. There's certain meetings that are coming up. The company's making certain decisions. You have potentially voting rights. You can vote in the direction a company goes. Obviously, if you only have a few shares, and by few, it could be 1,000, 2,000 shares. I mean, that's not really going to give you much power. There's probably people with 100,000 shares and much more. But bottom line is, you have voting power because you have purchased partial ownership of the company when you buy a stock. That's essentially what you're doing. You're doing that with the anticipation that the company is going to grow, and with its growth comes an increase in value or perceived value. With an increased perceived value comes an increased value of your stocks. Because again, with the stock, I mean, back in the day, it was literally like a piece of paper, but let's think in those terms. It's really like, imagine I give you a piece of paper saying, hey, this piece of paper, I'm going to sign it saying that you have 10% ownership of my company. I mean, that's a lot, but let's just say that for example. It's still just a sheet of paper, right? What are you going to do with this sheet of paper? Can you buy a car? Can you buy a house? Can you buy food? Can't buy anything with a sheet of paper. What you can do with that sheet of paper is you can translate it into cash. You've heard the term, people say liquidating assets, right? So you can convert your shares of stocks in a company to cash by selling them. So the stocks themselves don't really have any actual value. The value comes from when you change them. When you change them to cash, basically you're selling the stock. So that's that side of things. Now the IPO is on the other side of things, and the IPO comes from the genesis of this whole process that we call the stock market and all this kind of stuff. Oh, you're buying a percentage of a company. Where does that begin? Where does that come from, right? You just know about, oh, there's Apple out there, AAPL. You can go and buy the stock for Apple. But why can you buy the stock for Apple, right? Why is the stock out there? How did it begin? Well, the IPO is where these stocks begin. So basically, again, let's go back to the beginning. It's about raising money for your business. Right now, the process that's involved in the IPO can be very, very complicated. You have a lot of, moving parts, lots of individuals involved, investment banks and things like that. But the bottom line is a valuation of your company. So people are going to sit down to determine, what do we feel is the value of this company? And based on that, and based on a lot of different considerations, they're going to figure out a dollar amount. So they're going to figure out the price per share that your stock is going to go for, and also how many shares you're going to put out there in the public for trading. If you take the total amount of shares that they're going to put out and you multiply that by the costs per share, so let's say IPO for Snapchat, they're saying I think $14 to $16. So let's say it starts at $14, which is not going to happen, but let's say it starts at $14. By the total amount of shares that they're going to put out there, and that's going to be the total money that they've raised. So if they're going to raise, you can use a calculator to figure this out. If they're trying to raise $8 billion, you take that and you divide it by the cost per share, and that's going to tell you how many shares, and you can work it out. But that's basically the way it works. They're going to basically put all these shares out. They're going to sell them to the public. And once that transaction is done, the initial public offering, that's why it said that, initial public offering. So they're going to offer these shares for trading initially. This is the beginning of the whole trading of Snapchat stock is going to begin this week. Once they do that, they're going to have raised the amount of money that they're looking to raise. But there's a lot of levels to this. So you have what's called a syndicate. The syndicate is largely responsible for the facilitating the IPO itself. So what is generally going to happen is this syndicate, which will be a group of investment banks, will actually purchase the initial stock from the company. So Snapchat is going to make a certain amount of shares available. These investment banks or the syndicate are going to make a deal to purchase these stocks, and this is pre-market. This is before it's actually available for trading. This is the process before the actual IPO occurs. So they would already have purchased these stocks, and the intention is they're going to sell it to the open market, and the intention is obviously they're trying to make a profit, because so all these investment banks purchase these shares, right? Now the IPO date comes, and now these investment banks start selling these shares to the public. But here's a very critical thing that you need to understand. One, once the shares are initially sold to the syndicate, the amount of money that goes to Snapchat, they're done. They've already sold all their shares, right? So all this stuff with the stock market going up and down, all that kind of stuff, that's a separate process. So they're going to make these shares available to these investment banks. Investment banks are going to buy these shares. So therefore, now Snapchat now has whatever money they were trying to raise, 8 billion, whatever it is. Now, all these investment banks now have these shares that they're going to market. You're going to see all kinds of stuff on TV, on the news. That's going to be the investment banks' marketing efforts to, hype it up. Snapchat, it's going to be the biggest IPO, blah blah blah. And they're gonna make a lot of buzz, because that's the whole point. They got in early. They got involved in this initial process so they can get the shares at a very, very low price, right? Because this is pre-market. This is before the market gets involved, and because of market activity, the prices can go up. So they'll get it at a very, very discounted price. And then the idea is hype it up so that everybody wants to get in. This is Snapchat beginning to trade. Who knows how far this is going to go? Snapchat's so powerful, and they're doing really good. And, I want to get in now, because If they start trading at $20, who knows, a year from now it might be worth $40 a share. So I could double my money in a year. People's thinking like that, right? So this whole process creates sort of a frenzy. And then when the IPO opens this week, the public is going to determine how much it's actually worth. So if there's a lot of people that want to get in, I want to get this Snapchat, then they're going to start bidding the price up. Just imagine like an eBay auction. Something is in high demand. We'll keep bidding and bidding and bidding and bidding, and the price will go, possibly through the roof if it's high enough demand. So the initial transaction to the public could be significantly higher than what these investment banks paid. So for example, they paid $14 per share. And then when trading starts, maybe people start bidding it up to $20, right? And that's it. They start trading, and once they start selling these shares out to the market, then the market does what the market does. Individual investors day traders, for example, may purchase some of or try to purchase some of this IPO stock and try to take advantage of this frenzy. We got in at 15 and we're going to wait until it peaks. We think it's going to peak at about $20, and at $20 we're going to go and sell our shares, and we're done. We're done with Snapchat. We don't want to hold Snapchat. We think it's a crappy company. We just want to take advantage of all these people that are all excited and they're going to bid the price up, kind of thing. Then you have other people that want to hold it long term. They'll buy the stocks and hold it a few months, years, who knows how long. So a lot of different people doing a lot of different things, but that's the market. Market does what it does. But the whole thing that's happening this week is going to be eventually, let's get to the billionaire thing. So you have the founders of Snapchat, who I believe have 22% stake in the company. Based on that figure, we are looking at each of the founders being worth about $4 billion post IPO. Just like that. In a blink of an eye, the net worth of these guys is going to skyrocket. There's also supposedly going to be a bonus which has been offered to one or both of the founders, I think worth a couple billion or more. So in addition to the 4 billion, there's that to consider. But for comparison, the numbers we're talking about, you're looking at 4 times the net worth of the CEO for Twitter, for example, just to give you an idea. So this is going to be a massive event. How old are these gentlemen? 26 years old and 28 years old. 26 years old and 28 years old, about to be billionaires, under 30. And this is how it's done. Not only did they create a product that there was a huge demand for, and it's very interesting because, we had other products out there. We had Twitter out there, right? We had a lot of social media, but they took a gamble on this Snapchat thing. They felt that there was a need for it. They felt they were bringing value to the market, and apparently they were correct. Snapchat did very well and has grown significantly. And now they're at the point now where they are able to command billions and billions of dollars, from a company standpoint, but from an individual standpoint, $4 billion. So you see here, it says the valuation could jump to over $22 billion. So while these guys are becoming billionaires virtually overnight, we also have some new millionaires. As a result of this IPO, you're looking at the CTO, Bobby Murphy, $3.63 billion. You're looking at Tim Sen, VP of Engineering, $108 million. You're also looking at Imran Khan, Chief Strategy Officer, at $45 million, virtually overnight. And that, my friends, is how you become a billionaire overnight. Up with an awesome concept for a product, service that there is demand for and there's a significant market for. Time it correctly. Timing is key. Market it appropriately and run your business appropriately, and you know, as a result of that, experience significant growth. And when the time is right, you may be able to command these kinds of figures in an IPO scenario, and look at your net worth skyrocket overnight, just like that. All right, guys, so let's take a quick look at any comments before we end the stream, and I need to get back to the trading floor. How do I see comments? How do I see comments? Right, now we got the little inception effect going on. All right, I'm just taking a quick look at any comments, and then I gotta get back to the trading floor. So let's see. Comments. What are your comments? Comments. What are your comments? I see Christopher Carter is in the house. Good to see you. Christopher Carter, just cheat people. Be rich super fast that way. That's what most people do. Just don't get caught. Another way, which is more legit, without you watching out for gunshots and cops, create a product, get with a company that can help create your product and get it sold. That's a good way. That's a good way, Christopher Carter. That's absolutely a good way. Fast and Fearless, I was looking to become filthy rich, then I met a woman. Yeah. Somebody asked me in my last stream about one of the worst investments I've made, or something to that effect. And I said it was a woman, unfortunately. Yeah. All right, guys. I got to get back to work. So that's all I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully, you guys better understand what's happening as far as this IPO. I know there's a lot of jargon and stuff, and a lot of people don't really understand what's really going on. So I'm trying to help you to understand how this whole process works and what's happening. This week, it's a major event. This is a major event. This is going to be the biggest IPO, not in history, but the last IPO that was as big as this was quite a while ago. So this is of major significance. There's going to be a lot of talk about this, and you guys want to pay attention to the news. I mean, watch this whole process. You're watching these young men at 28 and 27, 26 and 28, who are making it happen. So you're watching Carlisle's Picks, and got a lot more content coming up. Stay tuned. I'll be doing some more product reviews, and we'll be doing some more traveling and things like that coming up. So definitely stay tuned for that. Thanks for all the support. I appreciate everything, you guys. Appreciated the Miami trip we did on a yacht and all that kind of stuff. Fisher Island, always a good place to go to relax. Shout out to Dr. M3, Chris Carter, Rico Suave, and every single one of you guys. All right, I gotta go back to work. It's been fun, but I gotta go make that money. Yeah.